think the beauty nature comes first. For example, we have a lot of poems, or they add their ways of art to say something very good about the nature. And there must be the nature first, and then people can use different ways to say good things about it.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay.
I think that without nature art wouldn't exist, and it's an inspiration for the artist.
For the artist, yes. So it comes first, and then
Yes,
the artist
comes
comes first. Dominica?
Yeah.
Same. Okay.
Same.
Same.
Yeah. And then we add less. We wanted more aesthetic and less to
Okay.
feel or change.
Susanna?
I also have the same as Sophia, but I think that beauty in art could make the nature of beauty more conscious.
Good. Yeah. So you without art you do not become conscious, fully conscious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had the same as Sophia as well.
Liz?
Can I say what I have right? I think also. First came the natural beauty, and then came the artistic, because artistic is inspired by the natural beauty.
Yes. Okay.
Same.
Same.
Yeah, so the artists come from nature.
From nature. Okay. So that's obvious that all of you seem to agree with a small elaboration proposed by Catherine that without art we wouldn't be so conscious of what is natural, what is natural beauty. And that what you were, in fact, what you were saying leads to these theories about art. Number A. So there are many. What is art? What is art all about? So some people say that art began as an imitation or representation of nature. In other words, you hear a nice sound from some stream flowing or some birds singing, and you want to compose music. You see a nice landscape and you want to imitate it and draw it and have it in your room and look at it. So art seems to have begun with this imitation. It's precisely what Plato didn't like, as I told you the other day, because he thought that you are imitating a copy. That this is already a copy of the real beauty, which is somewhere else. You know, the idea of beauty is elsewhere. But it is true that art seems to have begun like this, and art also seems to have had, to some extent, religious origin. That is, people felt that they were worshipping nature, or they were worshipping these important elements of nature, and when they made art, art used symbols, and art was religious art to an important extent, okay, just to, also in dancing, religious dances, and even some dramas that they played, which were part of worshipping a god or gods in the plural. And then there are some people in religious art who thought that the notion of the revelation of a deeper spiritual reality, who thought that what art does is not just imitating nature, but going deeper and discovering some kind of harmony that is behind what you see. You see? So the real beauty is not the beauty of a face or the beauty of a landscape. The real beauty is the beauty of a soul, or the beauty of some kind of spiritual feeling that takes you, close to God and unites you with God. If you look at religious paintings, icons like Byzantine Greek icons, you see that they may not look pretty. They are not, the women there are not, sort of pretty face, but it's supposed to give you some insight, looking deeper into the beauty of a soul. So you see, so art developed also like this. And philosophers who try to find criteria, try to understand what art is like, and also look at the history of art. I mean, you have to look at the history and see how art developed. You cannot just talk about art abstractly. So the history of philosophy also goes parallel to the history of art. And What about emotions? Doesn't art express emotions? And you may say that artistic expression is not only about imitating something out there, it's not only looking to the skies and to God, but it's also looking, the artist, feeling happy, feeling sad, feeling in love, feeling melancholic, and trying to show this through symbols. Through this by painting a melancholic face, by finding a color which symbolizes, for instance, sadness. I don't know, in some cultures it's black, in some cultures it's white. I don't know, in China what symbolizes pain and mourning and sadness. Is it black? White. But in Western cultures it's usually black. When you mourn the death of somebody, you just find black. Or I don't know, red color. It may mean love. It may mean anger. It may mean anger. Or green may mean serenity and nature. Blue, which is the sea. I mean, it's a kind also of calmness. So artists have tried to find a language of art. The artists are like more interested in language. I mean, you can read art as a language that finds ways to codify and express feelings, emotions, and natural characteristics of symmetry, harmony, things like that. And Chinese poetry is very important for, just trying to describe nature and also feelings. And some of my favorite is Japanese poetry, haiku, the very short poems. I don't know if you've read haiku. They are 3 verses, and in 3 verses you try to capture, you don't know them, just look them up. They are very, very nice. And just one moment of sadness you can express in 3 sentences. Well, I stop by the river and I cry, and you just have a moment. Okay, or I can hear the bird singing in a distance. How sad. Yeah, and language itself expresses this symbolism. But what I was saying is that the colors of painting, the sounds of music can also serve as a language. And the free play of the imagination, art may involve free play of imagination. I mean, we imagine things, we combine things, we create worlds that don't exist. Dangerous. Plato thought that was dangerous too. I mean, that somehow you imagine things that don't exist. Now, the final one is the difficult one. Now, those of you who have seen, I don't know if you like modern art, modern painting, modern music, modern architecture. It's bizarre. If you go into a museum and you watch something and somebody tells you, this is a flower, and instead of a flower, it may show you a pencil, or it may show you some blur, or something say this is flower, or it may tell you, if you look at, it's very bizarre. If you look, starting with Picasso and the people at the late 19th, beginning of the 20th century, what is this all about? Well, some philosophers who study art have claimed that art is becoming like philosophy. You know what the topic of this art is? Philosophical reflections on itself. In other words, if you take a box for detergent from the go to supermarket and you buy a box of Tide or Brillo or some kind with which you clean, some cleaning substance, and then you take it and you put it in a museum and you say, this I call whatever you want, I call it flower. This is crazy. But this crazy idea wants to make you think that the creativity of the human mind can change everything into an artistic symbol, can make you develop symbolism and a new language from everything. You can take everyday artifacts, everyday objects that you use in everyday life, and you call them artistic objects. And you may say, my God, this is stupid. And is this a good artist? Somebody who has this idea and doesn't work hard like a child. A child may just do anything and you call it art. Do you call that art? Is that art? You may ask yourself, is that art? And some people, some philosophers say, well, art has become like philosophy. It makes you think, what am I? What am I doing? What is artistic creation? So here I have just given you some of the views or the theories about art that philosophers have put forth in discussions, okay, in philosophical discussions, just to show you that it's a very interesting area, and here some of you may tell me, I didn't hear anybody say it, but I was expecting to say, it's all subjective. It's what I think, what you think, what I think is important, what you think is important, and I wonder, do you believe that art is completely subjective? Artistic value is completely subjective? Artistic value, what is important in art, is subjective or not? Question time.